in the Shade of the Qur'an by Sayyid Qutb, translated by M.A. Salahi and A.A. Shamis. May Allah bless all of them. Surah 100, Surah Al-Adiyat, the causes.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. By the snorting coursers, striking sparks of fire, by those which score to the raid at dawn, blazing a trail of dust, cleaving into the center of the enemy. Man is surely ungrateful to his Lord, and of this he himself is a witness, and truly he is passionate in his love for worldly riches. But is he unaware that when the contents of the graves are scattered about, and what is in the breast is brought out, and surely your Lord will on that day know all about them. This surah is presented in rapid and violent touches. The text moves swiftly from one scene to another. As we come to the last verse, everything, the verbal expressions, the connotation, the subject matter, and the rhythm, settle down in a manner similar to that of a courser reaching the finishing point. The surah starts with a scene of war, steeds running, snorting, striking sparks of fire with their hoof, launching a raid at dawn, and blazing a trail of dust, cleaving suddenly into the center of the enemies, taking them by surprise and striking terror and fear in their hearts. Then follows a picture of the human self, a scene of ingratitude, ignobleness, greed, and extreme miserliness. Immediately after that, there is a description of graves laid open and their contents scattered, and the secrets of hearts poured out. Finally, the trail of dust, ingratitude, and miserliness, the contents of the graves, and the dragged out secrets all come to the last terminus. They come to Allah and settle down. Surely their Lord will on that day know all about them. The rhythm of the surah is robust and thunderous, and thus fits well with the dusty and clamorous atmosphere generated by the upturned graves and the secrets violently put out of the breasts. This characteristic of the rhythm are also appropriate to the picture of ingratitude, thanklessness, and extreme miserliness. A framework for this picture is provided by a dusty and tumultuous atmosphere of horses racing and thundering. Thus the frame and the picture are in perfect harmony with each other. By the snorting coursers, striking sparks of fire, by those which score to the raid at dawn, blazing a trail of dust, cleaving into the center of the enemy. Man is surely ungrateful to his Lord, and of this he himself is a witness, and truly he is passionate in his love for worldly riches. Allah swears by the war horses and describes their movements one after the other, running, snorting, and neighing. They strike their hoofs against rocks and produce sparks of fire. They wage their attack early at dawn in order to take the enemy by surprise, producing a trail of dust during the unexpected battle. They pierce swiftly the enemy ranks, creating disorder and confusion among them. The successive stages were well known to those who were first addressed by the Holy Qur'an. The fact that Allah swears by the horses provides an emphatic suggestion that the movement portrayed is a lovable one, and man should respond to it actively. This they do only after realizing how precious it is in the measure of Allah, which is reflected in his paying attention to it. Added to all this is the harmony between this scene and the scenes which are the subject of the divine oath, namely the state of the human soul when it is devoid of faith and its impetus. The Quran draws man's attention to this state in order that he may gather all his willpower to combat it, for Allah is perfectly aware of how deeply it is ingrained in man and what great pressure it exercises on him. Man is surely ungrateful to his Lord, and of this he himself is a witness, and truly he is passionate in his love for worldly riches. It is a fact that man reacts with ingratitude to all the bounties of his Lord. He denies the favors which Allah confers on him. His thanklessness and ingratitude is reflected in a host of actions and verbal statements which will serve as witness against him. Or perhaps on the day of judgment he may testify against himself, admitting his ingratitude, and of this he himself is a witness. Or on the day of judgment he will speak the plain truth even against himself, without any contemplation or excuses, without any contentions or excuses. And truly he is passionate in his love for worldly riches. Man is a passionate self-lover, but he loves only what he imagines to be good for him: wealth, power, and the pleasures of this world. This is his nature, unless he has faith which changes his concepts, values, and even his concerns. Faith changes his ingratitude to humble thankfulness. It changes his greed and miserliness to benevolence and compassion. It makes him aware of the proper values which are worthy of being the objects of ambition and hard competition. Indeed, these are much more exalted than money, power, and mundane pleasures. Man without faith is an ignoble creature having only trivial ambitions and petty concerns. However big his desires, however strong his ambitions, and high his objective may seem, he remains sunk in the cesspool of this earth, confined within the limits of this life, imprisoned in self. He cannot be freed or elevated except by an attachment to a world superior to this earth, extending beyond this life, a world which originates from Allah, who is the first being, and returning to Allah the Eternal, a world onto which this life and the life hereafter converge and which has no end. Hence, the final touch in the surah provides the cure for ingratitude, greed, and miserliness. It portrays the scene of resurrection in a way which makes man shudder and puts his love for wealth and indulgence in worldly riches out of his mind, unshackling his soul and setting it free from earthly attachment. But is he unaware that when the contents of the grave are scattered about, and what is in the breast is brought out, surely their Lord will on that day know all about them. It is a violent and frightening scene in which we witness the scattering about of the content of the graves and the bringing out of the secrets of the hearts, which were closely guarded, kept away from everyone. The Arabic terms used here for scattering and spoiling are very forceful, suggesting an atmosphere of violence and force. Does he not know when this will take place? The mere awareness of all this is enough to inspire man to seek an answer and explore every avenue in search of it, while at the same time discerning all that may result from this wild movement. These nimble and agile movements finally come to where every matter and destiny is settled. Surely their Lord will on that day know all about them. So to their Lord is their end. He on that day knows them and all their affairs and secrets. Allah certainly knows everything at all time and in all condition, but the knowledge of that day has some effect to which the attentions are drawn here. It is a knowledge which necessitates the reckoning and the reward. This implicit meaning is the one underlying here. The surah is a swift, vehement, and breathless piece with a sudden terminus of meaning, expression, and rhythm. It reflects a unique Quranic method of expression. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim.